Guys, I'm just heading back into the mill with the side-by-side right now, and if you haven't been watching my other videos, I've taken as many logs in as I could recently while the ground was still frozen. This all around us right here is basically a cedar swamp, and this is what it's turned into. And I knew this was coming. This is what happens every year this time of year. It just turns into a muddy mess, and there's no way I wanted to be logging in this. So I just thought I'd show you kind of the scenario I'm dealing with here. The side-by-side even struggles to drive through this stuff sometimes, but just thought I'd show you that as to why I really wanted to get some logs into the mill before that happened. Well, welcome back everybody. I hope you're all having a good day. I'm having a good day because I'm back at the sawmill again and I get to cut up some lumber. Always happy when it's a sawmill day. I'm actually going to do a little experiment today. I've got a big pile of cedar here. Well, big in relative terms, it's big for my operation, so I've got that in here. Got most of it in while the ground was still frozen, so I'm happy about that because it is a mud show out there. But the little experiment I'm going to do today, just to keep things interesting, is I'm going to see how much lumber I end up with after an hour. Now, the point of this is not for me to be rushing around trying to see, you know, how much I can possibly get cut in an hour. That's not the point. The point is that I'm just going to cut how I would normally cut, try to be as safe as possible, take my time, and at the end of the hour, just see what I end up with. I thought, you know, if some people out there are thinking about getting a sawmill and you've never had one before, don't really know, you know, how fast you can cut lumber with one of these, you can kind of use me as your test subject and see how I end up with, how much lumber I end up with after an hour. Obviously with something like this, there's so many variables that go into it, like what type of wood you're cutting, how big your logs are. If you have an extra person, it, from my experience, pretty much doubles the speed because half of the work's just, you know, taking the lumber off the mill and stacking it places. If you're using something to load and unload logs, all different things affect this, but this is just for fun, so you could maybe get some sort of idea of how I make out. And just in case you were wondering, the cedar that I have here, it's I think it's called either eastern or northern white cedar, so it's not like the red cedar that you'd buy at the big box stores kind of thing that they sell for their decking and whatnot. I think this stuff's quite a bit cheaper to buy if you go to a lumber yard or whatnot, but that's what we have here on the farm, and I consider myself pretty lucky to have this here that you can just go cut and make your decks or what have you out of this stuff, because I know I've been, since having the sawmill, I've been kind of keeping my eyes loosely on lumber prices lately, and my god, they've went through the roof. So I know, like, if you were gonna buy a red cedar for building a deck or something like that, ooh, you better get your pocketbook out because it's expensive. I think at the end of the video today, maybe I'll do like kind of a comparison with the amount of lumber that I cut up, maybe, you know, what it would cost to buy for white cedar, and maybe I'll compare it to red cedar so you can see how much more expensive that stuff is. But anyways, enough talking, better get to work here and do an hour of sawmilling. It's pretty funny after you have been cutting up hardwood for a while and then switching back to cedar, just how much easier it is to maneuver around. Well, just had a look at the clock there. I started at right on 11 a.m. and it's 11:24 when I looked, so we're pretty much halfway there. I've done 2 logs so far, so I think I'll do another 2. That should bring me really close to 12 o'clock, and if I'm a few minutes less or more kind of thing, I think that's probably where I'll end up. I think that'll end up pretty close to 12 o'clock, but just stopping for a second to have a little drink here, and I'll continue on, get those next 2 cut up. I got some 1-inch boards that are coming off from around the edges and whatnot too, so I'll probably take the time just to edge them down to a certain width type thing and get that all put in a pile, and then we can go have a look at what it added up to be. Well, this is unfortunate. This is where I've been stacking all the cutoffs for the sawmill in between these trees, and I'm guessing what happened was as all the snow melted, I've been piling it on top of all the snow and ice, so it's probably over time, you know, the last few weeks it's been melting, so that's probably shifted the whole pile, and this is what we end up with. So maybe in one of my future videos I'll be coming up with a better way to store firewood. I know a lot of people like the IBC totes. I've been keeping an eye online for them, but they're like 50-60 bucks each for what I can find, and that adds up pretty quickly in my opinion. So I might have to come up with a different homemade idea, I think, of how to get these stored so they won't fall over like that, and maybe a way that I can get them easily moved around and stuff too, because I don't want to be restacking this all the time, that's for sure. Alright guys, so I just checked the clock on the side-by-side again. When I started it was exactly 11 a.m. and it says 12:11 now, so that's 71 minutes of work, but I wanted to just finish up what I had there, got it all edged up, so that's what 71 minutes of sawmilling looks like for me. Alright guys, so I'll take you through everything that I have cut up here. First of all, we have a 6x6 post, and I'll just measure. It's about 10'6", so you could call it a 10-footer. So one 10-foot 6x6 I can just tell by looking that I would have made, these would be a bit over 8 feet. So these will be 8-foot 2x6s. And there's 6 of those. There's 4 8-foot 2x4s. And then the rest is 1 inch by 5 inch lumber. And got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces there. So that's what we're looking at, a 6x6 at 10 feet, 6 8-foot 2x6s, 4 8-foot 2x4s, and 8, we'll call them 8-foot 1x5s, even though some of those might be 10 feet, but some of them I might have to cut down a bit more with the sawmill. You know, some of them might not be the greatest on the ends, you end up cutting them off, so I'll just take an average and call them 8 feet. So that's the pile that I've got there. Anyways, so maybe you think that that's pretty good for an hour of cutting, maybe you think it's not very good, but that's what I basically accomplish when I have all the logs here and give myself an hour or a bit more time to work at it. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's an entry-level sawmill, the HM 126, so you know, for not a huge amount of money comparatively, you can make it back pretty quickly, in my opinion, if you have the trees to do so. So I think from here I'm gonna go maybe just add up what this would be worth and give you guys a little bit of a dollar figure as to, you know, if you're interested to know like what this would be worth for an hours of work compared to maybe some red cedar. So I'll go do that now. So I went online, did a price breakdown just for fun. I found some white cedar prices from a lumber yard nearby, and what I came up with was that if you had to buy that white cedar, a 10-foot 6x6 would cost you $60. This is all Canadian dollars too. I should probably switch it into US dollars also, because I know a lot of the people that watch are from the US, but I mean, this is just for fun, and the converting the price, you probably wouldn't be paying the same amount anyways, if you know what I mean. So I think it'd be kind of pointless, especially when this is just for fun. So I'll just give you, if I had to buy it here where I live in Canadian dollars, what it would cost me. So the 6-foot or 10-foot 6x6 would be $60. 8-foot 2x4s, they're $12.50 each, so that would cost me $50. 2x6s at 8 feet, 6 of them, they're $19.20 each, so that would be $115. And the 1-inch lumber, 1x5x8, $7.70 each for 8 of them, $61. So that would come to a subtotal of $286.80 plus tax, $37.28 tax. So for me to buy the exact same stuff that I cut up from a lumber store here in total would cost me $324.08. So I'm pretty happy with that. 71 minutes, $324.08. Of course, that's kind of phony, trying to say that you make like $320 an hour or something like that, because for one, you have to cut the trees down, you have to have the trees on your property, you have to get them into the mill, you have to get them piled and stacked and stuff, which I haven't done yet, and there's just a whole bunch of other stuff that goes along with it. But having said all that, I think there's quite a bit of room for error to say that, you know, it definitely is a worthwhile investment having the sawmill with the amount of lumber you can cut up for the amount of time it takes you. And I just thought this was kind of funny because I priced it out in red cedar as well, even though that wasn't red cedar, but A lot of the big box stores around where I live anyways, they don't even carry white cedar. So if you're wanting to build a deck out of red cedar, a lot of people, or if you're wanting to build a deck out of cedar, a lot of the people that go to the big box stores end up buying the red cedar. And it would have came to a total of $712.80, and that like almost knocked me off my feet when I added all that up. That's just ridiculous. I can't imagine what it would cost if you were trying to build a whole deck out of red cedar these days. But very happy that I have the white cedar and the sawmill to cut it up with. I can't rave enough about what a good investment it's been so far. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video, the little comparisons, how long it takes me approximately to cut some lumber up with the Woodland mills. And thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.